HOA. Karen called the police after I moved out without her approval. My son works for the FBI. The night I left, I thought I was free. The moving truck was packed. The house was empty. But then I saw her. Karen, standing in the dark with her clipboard. Her eyes followed me. Her phone in her hand. Her smile too wide. And when the flashing red and blue lights cut across my rearview mirror, I realized she had done it. She had called the police. But she didn't know the one person standing next to me was the one she should fear the most. Welcome back to HOA Secrets Uncovered. I'm Daniel. A simple homeowner from a quiet suburban street in Texas. I fix cars for a living. I mind my own business, and all I ever wanted was peace. But in our neighborhood, peace was never free, because the HOA had a president, a woman named Karen, who believed she owned every house on the block, even mine. This is the story of how leaving that neighborhood turned into the fight of my life. The night air feels thin as paper. I can hear the truck idle like a tired animal. The house behind me is empty and quiet. Every room cleaned out, every nail hole patched. No more photos on the walls. No more noise in the kitchen. No more laughter slipping under the doors. I pull the strap on the last box and it bites my palm. I tell myself this is freedom. I tell myself it is done. But my chest says wait. My chest says listen. I look up the street. Her porch light blinks like a warning beacon. Karen stands there with her clipboard, that same stiff smile, that same neat sweater, that same look that says she owns this block. Her eyes do not blink. Her pen taps the board like a slow clock. I step off my porch. The boards sigh under my boots. My son walks beside me. He moves calm, steady. He tells me to breathe. He says everything will be fine. I nod, but I do not believe it. Not yet. We reach the truck. The tarp rustles. The rope creaks. I feel the whole street watching from behind curtains, little gaps in blinds, little breaths caught in throats. No one opens a door. No one waves goodbye. Silence feels like another rule. I start the engine. The truck growls, a small victory. Then a flash of light catches my mirror. A phone screen glowing at the end of the street. Her face lit blue, her mouth moving, her finger pointing. I know that pose. I have seen it after dandelions appeared on lawns, after mailboxes leaned a little, after Christmas lights stayed up one day too long. But tonight is different. Tonight I am the offense. We roll forward slow. The tires crunch the gravel. My son checks the side mirror. He says we are good. I want to believe him. I want to drive and never look back. But the road feels sticky, like it wants to hold me, like it wants to keep me here. The corner turns black, then red, then blue. Lights explode across the wet pavement. Sirens scream from the next block. My hands lock on the wheel. My breath goes short. My son says stop, and I do. The truck shakes as the siren winds down. The street is red, then blue, then red, then blue, like the heartbeat of the neighborhood. The cruiser stops behind us, headlights like hot eyes. A door opens. An officer steps out. His face is flat in the flash. His hand sits near his belt. He walks slow. He looks at the truck like it has secrets. Karen strolls down the sidewalk, her clipboard pressed to her chest like a holy book. Her voice floats across the night. She says there has been a violation. She says I moved out without approval. She says the rules are clear. She says I cannot leave, not until she signs the final form. She smiles like this is kindness. I swallow air that tastes like copper. Officer asks for my license. I hand it over. He asks where I am going. I say away. He asks why at night. I say because today was long. Because today I finished. Because today I want peace. Karen clicks her tongue. She tells the officer about me. She recites my file. Late trash cans, fade on the paint, grass near the curb, Holiday lights in January. She says these facts show a pattern. She says I am not cooperative. She says I am a flight risk. She says the HOA must be respected. I stare at the road. The paint lines glow. A moth hits the headlight and drops. Somewhere a dog barks and goes quiet. I think about every fine tucked into my mailbox. Every note on my door with little bold words. Every meeting where I sat in a hard chair. Every time I said yes, just to keep the peace. The officer shifts his weight. He asks for proof of permission. Karen lifts the clipboard like a trophy. She says no signature, no move. Her eyes are bright, hungry. The kind of bright that grows in narrow spaces. The kind of bright that loves a small victory. My son steps beside me. He stands close but loose, calm like a lake with deep water. He tells me to breathe again. He says it softer. I do, a little. The officer circles the truck. He views the plates. He checks the back gate. He taps the tarp. He comes back. He asks what is in the boxes. I tell him a life. Dishes, sheets, photos, tools, forgotten birthday. Cards, cracks in the cups, sugar in a jar, dust that looks like snow in sunlight. Karen moves nearer. Her perfume cuts the air. She says the HOA letter requires 24 hours notice. She says I must wait. She says she did not approve the route. She says the truck cannot park on the street after dark. She says the rule book is very clear. She looks happy when she says very clear. I taste anger like heat on my tongue. I say this is my home. I say I sold it. I say I am leaving tonight. I keep my voice low. I keep my hands still. I keep my eyes on the officer. I do not look at Karen. If I look, I will say too much. The officer raises a hand. He says we all want calm. He says he will check the statute. He says please wait. He walks back to the cruiser. The computer screen glows green, then white. Keys click. A printer hums. The radio crackles with someone else's trouble. My son watches the officer. Then he watches Karen. Then he looks at me. He says it will be fine. My heart does not agree. My heart knocks like a fist on a door. Knock, 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 let me out, Karen whispers to me while the officer types. She says this could be simple. She says I should move the boxes back inside. She says I should come to the office at 9 in the morning. She says we will review, we will advise, we will consider. Her smile climbs higher when she says, consider. I look past her at the dark windows. Shapes move behind curtains, neighbors watching like a quiet jury. I remember the bake sale she shut down because the table legs were 2 inches too wide. I remember the teenager who got a fine for chalk drawings on the sidewalk. He washed his art with a bucket while Karen watched. She shook her head like she was saving the world. The officer returns. He says he needs to ask a few more questions. He says, do I have any paperwork from the HOA? I say I have emails. He says printed. I say no. Karen lifts her clipboard again like a shield. She taps a box on a page. Her nail clicks like a tiny hammer. She says the rule is right here. She says I am in violation. She says the board can litigate. She smiles when she says litigate. My son takes one slow step forward. He breathes in, he breathes out. He reaches into his wallet. I watch the officer's eyes narrow. I watch Karen's mouth pull tight. My son is calm. He is always calm. He has the kind of calm that makes other people change their tone. He has the kind of calm that grows from training, from long nights, from learning how to see the thing under the thing. He shows the officer a card. Just a quick glimpse. Nothing loud, nothing showy. The officer blinks. He clears his throat. He says, "Sir, understood." He nods at my son like they share a quiet code. He steps aside to make a call. His voice turns careful, measured. Like the road just shifted under his feet. Karen tilts her head. She squints at the card. She does not know what she saw. She wants to, but she does not. Her smile shakes at the edges, only a little. But I see it. I always see the little shakes. They tell the truth. My son leans toward me. His voice is low. He says, "Keep breathing." He says, "Do not engage." He says, "Let the officer finish." I nod. I grip the wheel. I think about the day we moved in. We painted the living room. We ate pizza on the floor. We talked about quiet nights and safe streets. Now the street feels like a stage. Now the quiet is a trap. Now every rule is a rope. The officer ends his call. He walks back with a different posture. He says he understands the situation. He says there is no law that requires HOA permission to move out. He says this is a civil matter, not a criminal one. He says we are free. To go. Karen gasps like the night just slapped her. She starts to argue. She raises the clipboard so high it shakes. Her voice rises like a siren that belongs only to her. The officer lifts a hand. Not now. Not tonight. But the night is not done. A neighbor's porch camera clicks on. A small red dot winks. Another door opens. Another camera light. The block becomes a row of little watching eyes. Karen's smile returns, but it is thinner. She says, I will regret this. She says the board will respond. She says my new buyer will receive notice. She says I cannot run from policy. Her words feel like cold rain on the back of my neck. I look at my son. He is still calm. He is still a lake. But I can see the deep water now. Dark, quiet, strong. He says we are done here. He says let us go. The officer nods. He steps back. He taps the roof of the truck twice, like a blessing, like a warning, like both. I shift into drive. The wheels roll. The engine hums. We start moving. Slow. Then faster. The red and blue lights fade in the mirror. The street lights stretch like long bones. The dark opens its mouth to swallow us. I keep my eyes forward, my hands steady, my breath even, but fear sits beside me like a heavy passenger. Not fear of roads, not fear of dark. Fear of someone who thinks control is love, someone who thinks paperwork is power, someone who believes a neighborhood is a crown. At the stop sign my son looks at me. He says it is over. I nod. But I can still feel her eyes on my back. I can still hear the soft click of that pen. I can still see the clipboard raised like a sword. And I know people like her do not stop. They only pause. They only plan. The truck passes the old playground. The swings move a little in the wind. The chain links whisper. The moon sits low and tired. My phone buzzes in the cup holder. An unknown number, another buzz, then another. A new email. The subject line says immediate action required. My stomach tightens. My son says keep driving. I do. But I also open the email in my mind. I imagine the words. I imagine the threat. I imagine the next play. We reach the highway on ramp, black ribbon ahead, open space. I press the pedal. The truck lifts its voice. I feel the weight of the house fade, just a little. Then a memory drops into me like a stone. The storage unit, the gate code, the camera schedule, the late fee policy, the kind of things Karen would know if she had the right friend in the right office, the kind of things that make simple nights turn strange. My son looks out at the empty road. He says there will be more. He says be ready. His voice is calm, but I hear steel under it. I hear a door closing. I hear a line being drawn. The road stretches long and empty. The truck hums steady like it knows where to go. I grip the wheel tighter, but the night feels heavy on my shoulders, like it is waiting to drop something I cannot see. My son sits beside me, calm as ever. He checks the mirror once, twice. His hand rests near the badge tucked back in his wallet. He does not speak much, but when he does, it cuts through the noise in my chest. He says, Karen will not stop. He says people like her never stop. I nod, because I already know. The phone buzzes again, another unknown number, another subject line flashing red in my head. Words like immediate violation, action required. I keep driving. But my thumb itches to unlock the screen. I fight it. I tell myself the night is mine now. But deep down, I know she is still reaching for me, even when I am miles away. The highway bends. Lights of the city glow faint in the distance. My son exhales slow. He says, let her try. He says she thinks a clipboard is a sword, but she does not know what a real sword looks like. I glance at him. His eyes stay forward, dark and sharp, like he can already see the next move. We exit onto a service road near the storage unit. The gate looms tall, the keypad blinks. I punch in the code. The gate rattles and slides open. I pull through. The tires crunch gravel. The units stand in rows like sleeping soldiers. I park, step down. The night air feels colder here. I unlock the unit. The door rolls up with a metal groan. Boxes stacked inside, furniture wrapped. Our whole life folded and sealed. I feel both free and trapped, like the space is mine, but also hers. Because if she finds a way to reach here, she will. My son carries the first box in with one hand. He moves silent, disciplined, like he has done heavier work than this. I drag another box across the floor. The scrape echoes in the hollow space. Every sound feels too loud, too exposed. Then I hear it. A car engine down the lane. Not ours, not the officers. Something else. My heart spikes. I freeze. My son looks at me. He lifts a finger. Stay still. The headlights sweep across the rows. Slow, hungry. The car rolls past once, then circles back. My breath shortens. Could it be her? Did she follow us? Did she find someone else to play spy for her? The car pauses at the end of the row. The brake lights glow. Then the headlights die. Darkness swallows everything, but I know someone is still there. My son steps outside the unit. His shadow stretches long. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't blink. He just stands there, calm, like he is inviting the night to make a mistake. Minutes drip by. Then the car starts again. It rolls off slow. The taillights fade into black. I feel my knees loosen, but the fear stays. Sticky, like sap on fingers. We load the last box, lock the unit. The door clangs shut. I press the padlock closed and whisper a prayer, not to be safe, but to be left alone. As we climb back into the truck, my phone buzzes again. This time it is not a number. It is a message. From the HOA office. The subject says, emergency board action. The preview line says, motion to block property transfer. I slam the phone down on the seat. I laugh, but it is not joy. It is sharp. It is bitter. Because she is still pulling strings, even from her porch, even from the back of a police car. My son shakes his head. He says she is desperate. He says desperation makes mistakes. He tells me to let her dig. Let her keep digging. Soon she will fall in her own hole. We drive back toward the highway. The air feels lighter, but the thought of her shadow sticks to me. I picture her standing in the cul-de-sac, clipboard broken, teeth clenched, planning her next move. She has no idea who my son really is, no idea what he can do, no idea how far this game can go. The night deepens. We pass the city lights. The streets thin out again. My son tells me stories from his work, not details, not secrets, but pieces. Little lessons wrapped in simple lines, how people lie with their eyes before their mouths, how fear makes people loud when they should be quiet, how truth always leaks out if you wait long enough. I listen, I breathe, I feel stronger with every word. We stop at a diner by the roadside. The neon sign buzzes like a tired bee. Inside smells of grease and coffee. The waitress pours us cups without it asking. I sip. I feel heat spread through my chest. For the first time in weeks, I do not feel the weight of the neighborhood. But just as I settle, a sound cuts the air, a voice sharp and familiar. I turn, and there she is. Karen, sitting 3 booths down, her sweater neat, her clipboard still in hand, her eyes already on me. I choke on my breath. My son doesn't move. He doesn't even look surprised. He says only one word. Figures. She stands. She walks toward us, each step measured, each smile sharp. She says, "You cannot escape rules." She says, "You cannot escape me." The waitress stares confused. Other customers glance over their menus. But Karen does not care. She never does. I grip the edge of the table. My son leans back, calm as ever. But I can see his hand twitch near his jacket. He is ready if he has to be. Karen stops at the edge of our booth. She tilts her head. She whispers that she knows things. She whispers that she has contacts. She whispers that she can ruin everything I built. I stare at her. And I realize this is no longer about lawns or mailboxes or moving trucks. This is war. But tell me this. If someone followed you into the night, if they showed up where they did not belong, if they promised to destroy everything you had left, would you sit quiet and let them? Or would you finally stand and fight back? Karen's eyes lock on me like knives pressed against glass. The diner hum fades behind her. No clatter of forks, no hiss of coffee pots, only her voice dripping like poison in honey. She leans closer to my table, her perfume sharp, her clipboard still clutched like a weapon. "You think you are free," she whispers. "You think you can drive away from me." Her smile stretches wide, but her eyes stay cold. "I have power. I have the board. I have the law." My chest tightens. The mug in my hand shakes. The coffee ripples dark. I want to tell her to leave. I want to tell her this is madness. But my son speaks first. His voice low. His voice steady. "Sit down, Karen." 3 words, but heavy enough to make her blink. She does not sit. She never sits when she thinks she is in control. She tilts her head. Her smile wobbles at the edges. "You don't tell me what to do," she hisses. Her finger points at me. At him. He owes this neighborhood. He owes me. The whole diner watches now. A man in a ball cap pauses mid-bite. The waitress stops pouring coffee. Even the neon buzz outside feels like it is listening. I put the mug down, I take a breath, I say this is over, I say I sold the house, I say I owe nothing. My voice cracks, but I do not look away. Karen slams her clipboard on the table. The sound is sharp. People flinch. She says she has already filed a motion. She says the sale can be blocked. She says she will fine me until I am broke. She says rules are forever. The room feels smaller. Walls pressing in, her words wrapping around me like chains. But my son leans forward, calm still, patient still. He slides his wallet from his pocket. He doesn't flash the badge, he doesn't need to. Just the soft leather edge visible, Karen notices. Her pupils shrink, her lips part. For the first time her voice falters. What is that?" she stammers. My son sips his coffee. Slow, deliberate. He doesn't answer her, not yet. He just looks at her, and in that silence she begins to shake. Because silence is louder than shouting. Silence means control. The waitress clears her throat. She asks if everything is okay. I nod. Karen tries to speak, but the words stumble. She says this isn't over. She grabs her clipboard. She backs away. Her heels click on the T. Like a broken clock. Then she vanishes through the glass door. The bell above it jingles like nervous laughter. The diner exhales as one. People murmur. Chairs scrape. The waitress whispers, "Crazy woman," under her breath. But I cannot relax, because I know her. Karen doesn't retreat. She reloads. We finish our coffee in silence. The air still heavy. The night outside waiting. When we walk to the truck, I scan the lot. No Karen, no clipboard, but a single piece of paper under my wiper. I pull it free. Bold black letters shout at me. Violation notice, unsigned, unstamped, but real enough to freeze my blood. My son crumples it. He tosses it into the trash. "Empty threats," he says, but his jaw tightens, and I know even he feels the weight of her shadow. The drive to the motel is quiet. Street lights flicker like warnings. Every passing car feels like her. Every set of headlights makes my chest jump. We reach the lot. The sign hums. Vacancy in red letters. We take a room, number 12. The carpet smells of dust. The walls hold secrets in peeling paint. But at least it is away from her. At least for now. I lie on the bed staring at the ceiling. Sleep refuses me. The air conditioner rattles like distant drums. My phone buzzes again. Another email. This time from a neighbor. Subject line: Karen is calling a special meeting. The body. She wants you banned from the community permanently. Even though I am already gone. Even though my house no longer belongs to me. She wants my name erased like I never lived there. My son sits at the table across the room, laptop open, fingers moving. He is not looking at the news. He is not looking at work. He is looking at her, pulling threads, checking records, digging where she never thought someone would dig. He says she is sloppy. He says people who love control always are. He says the more she tries to hold on to power, the more cracks appear. I ask him what he sees. He looks up. His face is shadowed by the screen. He says Karen may not be as untouchable as she thinks. He says maybe she has secrets too. Secrets worse than mine. My heart pounds. The motel light flickers. I imagine Karen standing in her house, shades drawn, phone pressed to her ear, calling, planning, plotting. I wonder how far she will go, how deep her claws will dig, how much she is willing to lose just to win. And here's what I want to ask you. If you were in my shoes, hunted by a neighbor who treats rules like weapons, who follows you into the night, who will not let go even after you leave, would you dig into her secrets and fight back with fire? Or would you walk away and pray she never finds you again? The motel room feels like a cage with paper walls. Every creak in the hallway sounds like her steps. Every shadow under the door feels like her waiting smile. I toss and turn, but sleep never comes. The air conditioner growls and spits warm air. I stare at the ceiling until it fades into shapes that move. My phone buzzes again. I grab it fast. Another message, anonymous this time. But the words slice deep. Leave town or the board will ruin you. No name, no signature, just threat. I toss the phone onto the nightstand. It rattles loud in the quiet room. My son doesn't flinch. He sits at the small motel table, laptop glowing, his face carved by the blue light. He scrolls and types, his eyes steady. He tells me Karen is digging into me. But what she doesn't know is that he is digging into her. I sit up, ask what he means. He says she has history. He says she hides it behind bylaws and fines. He says people like her always leave a trail. I want to believe him, but fear tastes sharp on my tongue. Karen feels untouchable, like a spider that spins webs faster than you can brush to hem away. Then he turns the screen to me. There it is, her name, her record, her lawsuits, neighbors from her past who fought and lost, complaints filed, settlements sealed, a string of streets where her name is poison. She didn't always win, but she never stopped trying. My stomach twists because I realize we are not her first victims, we are just the next ones. The motel phone rings, the sound splits the silence. I freeze, my son picks it up, listens, then hangs up without a word. His face doesn't change, but his jaw tightens. He says wrong number, but I know better. I know it was her because silence has a fingerprint, and that silence belonged to Karen. The night drags. Finally dawn leaks through the curtains, weak and pale. We pack what little we carried in. The parking lot feels empty, but I sense eyes on me, watching from somewhere I can't see. We climb into the truck. The engine coughs awake. We roll back onto the road. A police cruiser waits 2 blocks down, lights off. But too still to be casual. I grip the wheel harder. My son watches. He says, "Keep driving." We pass slow. The officer doesn't move, doesn't follow. But I feel it again. The same shadow. Her hand pulling strings behind curtains. We head to the storage unit. The gate opens with the code, but something is wrong. The lock on my unit is broken. The door sits crooked. I pull it open. The inside is chaos. Boxes torn, furniture scratched, papers scattered across the floor like snow. My whole life spilled open. I drop to my knees, dig through, clothes slashed, photo frames shattered, every memory shredded, except one box untouched, sitting neat in the center. On top of it, a single paper, the HOA logo at the top. Words scrawled in red ink. Next time, it won't be just things. My stomach knots. Anger boils. Fear crawls under my skin. This isn't rules anymore. This isn't about fines. This is war. And Karen has crossed the line. My son takes the paper, folds it, slips it into his jacket. He doesn't speak for a long time. Then he says, "She just made a mistake. Because now it is evidence. Now it is bigger than HOA politics. Now she is in his world." I sit on the cold floor, shards of glass digging into my knees. I think about every family photo, every birthday candle, every scrap of my past ripped apart by her pettiness. How can one person hate freedom so much? How can one person fear losing control so badly? We clean what we can, lock the unit with a new heavy lock. As we leave the gate, I see a car parked across the street. Dark windows, engine running, too still. too patient. When I look harder, it drives away slow, but not before I catch a glimpse of hair, blonde, sharp, like hers. Back at the motel, we sit in silence. The day moves, but I don't feel it. Every second is heavy. Every noise feels like a warning. I ask my son how far she can go. He doesn't answer right away. Then he says, as far as we let her. I ask how far we let her. He says, that's up to me. The weight of his words sinks deep. I stare at the cracked motel mirror. I see myself tired, broken, angry, but under it all, still standing, still breathing. I think about my neighbors still trapped under her rules. The old man fined for a garden gnome, the mother shamed for chalk drawings, the teenager ticketed for parking 1 inch over a line. We all bent because she made us afraid, and fear was her crown. Now she has followed me. Now she has torn my memories. Now she has threatened more than rules, and for the first time, I feel the heat of fight in my chest. Maybe it is time she learns what happens when the board is not the only one writing rules, but tell me this. If someone destroyed your pot, it's just to control your present. If they followed you even after you escaped, would you run further into silence? Or would you finally turn and make them face the storm they created? The lock clicks shut on the storage unit. The sound echoes in my chest like a drumbeat of war. My hands shake, but not from fear anymore. From anger, from the fire rising inside me. Karen had crossed into places she should never touch. She had shredded my past, and she had whispered that next time it wouldn't just be things. The road back to the motel feels endless. Every car looks suspicious. Every shadow feels alive. But my son's voice keeps cutting through the storm in my head. He says this is no longer her game. He says she has given us proof. He says she will choke on her own arrogance. We reach the room. The air smells stale. The curtains hang crooked. But now, this little room feels like a command post. My son lays the red-inked paper on the table. The words glare at me. Next time it won't be just things. My stomach knots. Because I know what she meant. She wasn't warning me about boxes. She was warning me about people. I pace the floor. I tell my son she won't stop. He agrees. But he doesn't look shaken. He looks focused, like he has been waiting for this moment. He opens his laptop again, fingers typing, eyes sharp. He pulls files, court records, names, addresses. Karen's history blooms on the screen like weeds in concrete. I see patterns, a trail of destruction. Every neighborhood she ruled ended the same way. People fled, houses sold cheap, and in every case she somehow rose richer. Her board always pocketed fees. Her allies always walked away clean. She was more than petty. She was a parasite, a queen who fed off fear. I sink into the chair. My heart pounds. I whisper, how do we fight someone like that? My son looks at me calm. He says we don't fight her rules, we fight her lies. The plan takes shape slowly. He will use her own paper trail, the lawsuits she buried, the settlements she thought hidden, the angry neighbors who might still carry scars. We will not just escape, we will expose. But as I nod, as hope starts to bloom, a sound cuts the air, a knock, soft, deliberate, too careful to be housekeeping, too heavy to be a stranger. I freeze. My son gestures, stay quiet. He opens the door fast. Nothing there. Only the hallway stretching empty, but taped to the door. Another notice, bold black letters again. Board summons. Karen demands a hearing. I rip it down. My chest burns. How did she find me here? How did she follow me again? I step into the hall. Nothing, just shadows and peeling wallpaper. But I swear I hear her laugh, carried by the air vents. Back inside, my son folds the paper. Another piece of evidence, another nail in her coffin. But my hands still shake because if she can slip this under my door, she can slip further. She can reach deeper. The night crawls, I cannot rest. Every creak feels like her steps. Every hum feels like her whisper. At 3 a.m, I sit on the bed edge. The room dark except for the glow of my son's screen. He looks up at me. He says she is cracking. He says the more she presses, the more careless she gets. He says that is how she will fall. Dawn creeps in pale. We pack the truck, head back to the storage unit. I need to see if she came again. The gate opens, the lock holds, but inside the unit a smell hits me, sharp, Burnt, one box half charred, the edges black, the contents ruined, and on top a lighter left like a calling card. My knees weaken. She is not hinting anymore. She is promising. Fire today, something worse tomorrow. My son kneels, picks up the lighter, gloves on, slides it into a bag. He doesn't speak for a long time. Then he says she just gave him everything he needs. Arson, threats, crossing lines that no HOA charter can protect. I stand in the smoke-stained air, my throat tight, my fists clenched. I whisper, I want her stopped. I want her done. I want her shadow erased. He nods once, says, then it's time. We drive not back to the motel, but to the police station. The officer at the desk listens. At first he smirks. Another HOA squabble, another neighbor fight. But when my son lays the red-inked note, the violation letters, the lighter bagged neat, and finally flashes his badge, the officer's face drains pale. He calls someone higher. He whispers fast into the phone. I watch from the hard plastic chair. My heart drums, because this is bigger now, no longer just fines, no longer just notes. Now it is evidence stacked like bricks. Now it is federal eyes on a woman who thought she was untouchable. We leave the station. The sun burns high, the truck roars steady, but my chest is still heavy, because I know her. Karen will feel the walls closing in, and when cornered, she will lash harder. That night the motel phone rings again. I do not answer, but I listen to the message after. Her voice, low, sharp. You made a mistake bringing him into this. The line cuts. The silence after feels colder than steel. I sit on the bed. My son watches, his calm steady, but even he admits she is not done. She will make her final move soon, and when she does, we have to be ready. The motel room feels like a trap waiting to spring. The curtains sway even though the window is closed. The walls hum with noises I cannot place, and every sound makes my skin crawl. Karen's voice from the voicemail still echoes in my head. You made a mistake bringing him into this. My son sits across the room, calm as stone, but I can see the storm behind his eyes. He has been trained to wait, to measure, to strike only when the moment matters. He tells me she is desperate. He tells me that desperation makes people reckless. I nod, but my chest still feels heavy. Because recklessness mixed with power is the most dangerous thing of all. The phone buzzes again. Another email. This one from a neighbor. The subject line. Emergency meeting tonight. The body. Karen called it at midnight. She says it's about you and your son. My stomach knots. She is dragging him into it. She is dragging everything into it. My son closes his laptop. He says it's time, not to hide, not to run, time to face it. The drive back into the neighborhood feels like entering enemy ground. The houses look the same, perfect lawns, fresh paint, white fences, but under the glow of porch lights the street feels darker than ever. Shadows bend the wrong way. Curtains shift when I pass. Every window is an eye. Every eye is hers. The clubhouse glows at the end of the cul-de-sac, a small brick building with cold glass doors. Inside, I see shapes. Neighbors gathered, chairs lined up like a courtroom, and at the center, Karen, standing tall, clipboard in hand, her smile wide enough to cut. I park. The engine ticks. My son steps out first. His shoulders square, his jaw set. I follow. My knees feel weak, but my fists are tight. We walk into the building. The room falls silent. Dozens of eyes, all fixed on me. Karen clears her throat, her voice sharp and sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this emergency session. She waves her clipboard. Her bracelets clink like chains. This homeowner has violated every rule, and now he thinks he can run away without consequence. Murmurs spread. Some nod. Some shake their heads. The old man from down the street looks away. The young mother clutches her purse tighter. Fear lives in their faces. Fear she planted years ago. I try to speak, but Karen raises her hand. No interruptions, she snaps. This is my floor. She paces slow. Her heels click like a metronome. He left without notice. He ignored my letters. And now he brings his son into this mess. Her eyes cut to him. Who exactly are you? She asks, her tone mocking, her smile daring. My son doesn't answer right away. He lets the silence breathe. He lets her stew. Then he steps forward, pulls something from his pocket, not the badge, not yet, just the folded red note, the threat in her handwriting. He holds it high, his voice calm but deep. This is not about rules. This is about harassment. This is about threats. The room stirs. Karen stiffens. She laughs sharp. Forgery, she spits. She says anyone can write words on paper. She says I planted it. She says my son forged it. My son sets the note down, then lays the lighter beside it, bagged and sealed. He says, arson attempt. The room gasps. The old man coughs. Karen's smile wavers. Then slowly, he pulls the badge. Not loud, not flashy, just enough for the room to see. The gold glints under the fluorescent lights. The FBI seal shines like fire. Gasps ripple through the room. Karen's face drains pale. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes. My son speaks steady. I've watched long enough. I've listened long enough. Tonight this ends. He tells the neighbors about her lawsuits, the settlements, the harassment patterns, the way she profited while everyone else bled. Every word lands heavy. Every fact sinks deep. The room shifts. Eyes no longer afraid of me, now afraid of her. The young mother wipes a tear. The old man nods slow. One by one they start to whisper. Her grip loosens on the clipboard, her power slipping like sand through fingers. She slams the board on the table. Her voice cracks. "You're lying!" she screams. "You're twisting everything!" Her hands shake. Her eyes dart wild. She looks less. It's like a queen, more like a cornered animal. My son doesn't flinch. He says agents are already watching. He says calls have been made. He says tonight her game is over. The door behind us opens. 2 officers step in. Not HOA, not local. Real authority. Their uniforms cut through the room like knives of truth. Karen stumbles back. She says they can't touch her. She says the board protects her. But no one speaks now. No one stands for her. Her voice bounces off walls and falls flat. The officers step forward. One reads the note. The other bags the clipboard. Karen reaches out, but her neighbors step back. Chairs scrape as the crowd parts away from her. Even the ones who feared her the most do not want to be near her anymore. She screams when they cuff her. She kicks, she spits, but her words sound smaller now. Empty. The clipboard clatters to the floor. Pages scatter like dead leaves, and the queen of the block is dragged away. The room exhales. The silence after is thick. Neighbors look at me, not with fear, but with relief, with something like respect. For the first time in years, they are free of her chains. We walk out under the cold night sky. The air tastes lighter. The street feels open. But inside me a question still lingers heavy, because people like her don't just vanish. Their shadows stretch long, even in handcuffs, even in the dark. The night felt different when she was gone. The sirens faded down the block. The red and blue lights washed over the perfect lawns one last time, and then silence, real silence. Not the kind that hides whispers behind curtains, but the kind that feels like a breath you've been holding for years. Neighbors stepped out of their houses, one by one, slow at first, like animals crawling out after a storm. The old man with the garden gnome shuffled closer, his hands trembling but his smile wide. The young mother with chalk stains on her hands stood tall. Even the teenager, once fined for parking an inch too far, leaned against his car with pride. For the first time they weren't afraid to be seen. I stood in the middle of the cul-de-sac, the night air cool against my skin. The weight on my chest lighter than it had been in years, but even in the quiet I could still hear her voice, that sharp edge, that fake sweetness, that promise she would never stop, and part of me wondered if the shadow would ever truly fade. My son stood beside me, calm as ever, but his eyes scanned the street, not for threats anymore, but for scars. He saw what she had done to them, to all of us. He said one simple line: she fed on fear. But fear starves when no one gives it food. The neighbors drew closer. They thanked me. Some whispered apologies for staying quiet so long. I told them I understood, because I had been silent too. We all had. That's how she thrived. That's how she built her throne, out of rules and fines and shame. One man asked if she'd be back, if the law would let her slip through like smoke. My son answered before I could. He said the charges were strong. He said the evidence was sealed tight. He said even if she walked free, she would never walk back here with the same crown. Her kingdom was gone, her army gone with it. Still, when I looked at the porch where she once stood, clipboard raised like a sword, I swear I could almost see her shadow, like the ghost of a storm that leaves behind broken trees. Maybe she would vanish into another neighborhood. Maybe she would try again, because people like her don't change. They just move. We packed the truck again the next morning, this time without fear. Neighbors helped. Hands that once stayed hidden now lifted boxes. The old man carried my toolbox. The young mother held a photo frame she had glued back together for me. Even the teenager washed the soot from my chair and said, "Fresh start." As we loaded the last box, my son looked at me, his calm steady as always. He asked if I was ready. I nodded, because leaving no longer felt like running. It felt like release. The street looked different in daylight, same houses, same lawns, but the air felt lighter, the silence felt cleaner. Without her voice filling the gaps, it was almost peaceful, almost. As I pulled the truck forward, I glanced at her porch one last time, the door shut tight, the blinds drawn, the porch light flickering, a tiny flash like a warning, like her eyes still watching. And I realized something. Her body was gone, but her shadow might always linger here. In rules we fear to break, in silence we fear to shatter. We drove past the gate. The sign that once felt like chains now just looked like wood and paint. The world beyond opened wide, highways stretching long and free. I breathed deep. For the first time it didn't burn in my chest. But still, I could not stop the question spinning in my mind. What happens to the places she ruled before us? The streets she left scarred. The families she broke. What if she found another cul-de-sac, another set of neighbors too quiet, too polite, too afraid to fight? The road carried us far from her reach, but her name still echoed behind me, her laughter still scratched at my ears, her shadow still followed in thoughts I couldn't shake. Because maybe victory is not in one arrest, not in one night of freedom. Maybe victory is when no one like her can ever rise again. The truck rolled faster, the horizon opened. My son sat beside me, calm, steady, strong, and I realized as long as he was there, her shadow would never own me again.